You know, Christmas is all about tradition, and for a lot of y'all that has been tamales for years and years. Well, I'm starting a new tradition too. I think we can do better. Homemade tamales. Hey, thank y'all for stopping by camp on a chilly day. And what are we talking about? Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Santa Claus is on the way. And folks, this has been a tradition that I've knew many, many years ago. We had an old feller that rode through the streets of Hollis on a bicycle that had a hot box in the front, and he would sell tamales. Best tamales ever eaten in my life. So we did this video the first time, I'd say probably 6, 7 years ago. But what a perfect time to do it again. We're going to change it up a little, walk you through it. Y'all may have your own traditions, but hey, you need to switch to this and get the family involved, make an assembly line. You'll have the best Christmas ever with what? Tamales. Now, the first thing you need to do is get the meat that you're going to make these tamales with. Now, I've always used pork butt, but you could substitute if you want to go beef. Use a brisket, you could use a chuck roast. Hey, you could even make a dessert tamale with fruit. But we're going to bring out even more flavor this time because we're going to smoke this meat a while and then we're going to get it really good and tender. Now, I got a pork butt. I didn't want to buy one that was 9 pounds, so I bought 2 pieces that were about 2 pounds a piece. And I'm going to slice them to where they're a little thinner because it's going to speed up my cook time. This pork butt I'm going to lay out here on a cutting board and I'm going to sprinkle it really good, give it a good dusting with our mesquite seasoning because it's got that ancho chili in there. Now, don't think it's hot. It is not. Flip it over. We're going to sprinkle it on the other side. We're going to rub it in well on that meat to where it adheres to it good. So I got this big old foil pan. Pour the whole box of chicken broth in there. Then I'm going to put some onion, some garlic, some bay leaves, some cumin in there. Stir it up really well. Then I want you just to lay that meat in there. However you can arrange it that it's all just in the pan. We've got the smoker preheated to about 275 degrees, and today I'm using about 3 pieces of hickory wood to go in there with it. Put it on there. I'm going to let it smoke about 45 minutes to an hour. Then I'm going to seal it up with foil, and I'm going to cook it probably about 2 hours, 2.5, till it gets fork tender. Now, this would be the same method if you're going to use it in a crock pot, and it'll be in the printable recipe down there below where we'll walk you through it. We're talking about maybe 4 hours total time by the time it went on. So if you want to do this the night before or the day before to where you can say, hey, all I gotta do is warm this meat up, it'll speed up your process even more the next day. Meat is good and tender. You've seen how it's falling apart. So next, we need to soak them corn husks about 2 hours. You can do this in the sink, put them in there, get you some good warm water right there on top. I always like to take a pot full of water to lay on them. That way it keeps them submerged. So now it's time to make that authentic sauce out of them dried chilies. Now we go to talking about sauce. We talk about things that really make that authentic. One is the guajillo chili. One is the ancho chili. A lot of people used to call these rattle chilies. This is a dried poblano. It's going to bring you about a little smoky flavor, a little bit of chocolate flavor to go there with it. So we're going to get the stems out of these. Try to shake some of the seeds out because we will strain this sauce. But if you can get some of them out where you're going, you can, or you can even split them and get them seeds out of there a little easier. Get you a little stock pot full of water. We'll take these out of here. Now, a lot of you thinking, I don't know if I want to go to that much trouble to make this authentic sauce. If you're going to do this and you think you're going to go buy a canned sauce, make sure that it's a good one. Check out my good friends there at the Fresh Chili Company. The roasted red sauce would be pretty good for this as well. Got 2 jalapenos and 3 serranos. Now, if you think that's a little spicy for you, go ahead, split them, take the membrane, the seeds out. To me, they're just right. 1 white onion. If you're going to make this recipe, it's not a yellow onion, it is a white onion. Some garlic cloves. We're going to get them over here on the burner, let them get good and tender. Well, boiled them up about 15 minutes we did until they get good and tender. And I like to just take one of them peppers, and that's hot it is. You can see how they want to fall apart. Now, don't just pour the liquid in there. Get you something that you can sort of drain that liquid off of. Just let her seep down through there. Put them in your blender. I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, Cookie didn't have no blender on the wagon. If he could have had one, he would have loved it, I promise you.
Where's your cord coming from?
It is coming from somewhere over there close to Santa Claus. He's got it over there. We have Shan as a producer, and I wanted to scan over here and look at the executive producer. He has had a rough day. Mage, have you had a rough day? He said it is rough. It's about 42-43 degrees out here, so feels pretty good, and it's the right weather to be making this We got everybody in the blender we do, and we're gonna blend this up there till it's smooth. Do not discard this sauce as of yet. If this isn't as smooth as we'd like it, we'll add a little sauce to it. So I have a lot of trouble with these things because they got a lot of buttons on them, so we'll see what happens. Hang on, Mage. I think I might add just a splash of broth, so we're gonna probably put about 2 tablespoons in there. Get the lid back on it. I have learned from prior experience, if you leave this open, a lot of things will happen. Too much pressure, brother. Sorry, Carol.
Oh yeah, and look at the wall up there. We got the wall painted. Don't try this at home.
Well blended up, it is smooth. If I can get the lid off of it. And we're gonna strain this because remember, we left some of them seeds in there. You can see the thickness of that, and that's really what we're after. I don't want it to stay on there, but I don't want it to run off there like water. So you can see that's about right. So let's see if we can get that strained a little. I don't think we're gonna have much left in there because we got most of them seeds out. That's all there was left, which is really what would probably be maybe some of the outer coating of the chilies and some of them seeds. Time to put that masa together because we need that corn lining that's gonna be on that corn husk. Then we're gonna lay that pork in there, roll it up, get to steaming. I am ready. I made this the day before to give on that smoker some rich, good, smoky flavor that it brings to it. And then I re-warmed it, separated the meat from the broth. Do not discard that broth. We need every bit of it we do. Shred it up with a fork, you're good to go. Now, I'm gonna change this up a little today because I do love me some Hatch green chili. So I'm probably gonna put about 3 tablespoons in there. Mix it up, and we're fixing to put the masa together. If there's one part of this recipe that when I practiced so many years ago that gave me a little bit of trouble was the consistency of the masa to get it to the right texture. And then I was talking to an old Mexican lady one day and she told me it's just like making concrete. And I said, I remember that. I've made a lot of concrete. So we're gonna start with 2.5 cups of this masa, not packed. 1. And you can find this at any grocery store you probably go to. And there's a half. To that, we're gonna add a little salt, which I'd say is about that much. I like a little pepper, so we're gonna put some of that on there too. Coarse ground, about that much. And then we wanna mix that. This is one of them jobs where you better take your jacket off. I have been to one place in my life where I seen a whole family making tamales. And there was like an assembly line. Somebody was making the masa, then they'd pass it over here, they're spreading it out, then somebody put the meat, somebody put the sauce, somebody put it in the pot. I have one helper over here. Mage, come here a minute. Do you know anything about making masa? No? How about, do you know anything about meat? He said, oh, I could do some of that, I could. You seen me earlier take about 3 cups of that manteca or lard and get it melted. You want to let it cool off just a tad before you go start thinking, I'm going to use this. So I'm going to dip my finger in there. It is about cool enough to use. So we got 1 cup of the lard in there. This is the broth that I reserved from the meat. It's going to give it that good color that we need. There's 1. There's 2. Then we're going to take a spoon and we're just going to go to mixing this around. The consistency that we're getting here, which is still just a little thick. We have a 1/2 cup remaining here of meat broth, and that's where we're going to get that flavor. But to go with that, remember that wonderful red sauce that we used? We're going to put about 2 tablespoons in there. There's 1.5, and there's 2. Because I want to start really where we're erring on the side of it's too wet than too dry, because we can add some more liquid to it. When you've got that in there, just pick you some of that up, make you a little ball, put it in your hand like it was a corn husk that you're going to spread. See it crack? It's a little wet through here because we want it when it spreads out to where it'll stay on that. And we're pretty close, we are. I'm gonna add a little masa to my hands. Get rid of this, and we're gonna go to working this. This is where it comes into where you think you're working concrete. You gotta get all them flavors. You can see how the color changed when we put some of that red sauce in there. And I want it to have that glisten and that shine on top. That way you know it's not too dry. So when you can see that sort of shine in there, hey, we're in pretty good shape. He ain't used near all that red sauce. I wonder where it's going. Well, I'll tell you where it's going right now. We're going to add just a little more here just for color because I want to. Rest of it is going in this meat because I want that great flavor that it's going to bring about. Put the remaining red sauce on the meat, blended it in really well together. Our corn husk have been soaking. Our masa is ready. Now's when you call in the kinfolks, the grandkids, the neighbors, everybody you got to make what? Tamales. If you come across here, there is a smoother side than a rougher side. I would say that's probably the rougher side of the two. You can see all the humps, bumps, and lumps in there. So we're going to start with this one.
So the smooth side is what you're spreading on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I usually like to go about a good tablespoon through here and see if you can get it spread across here all the way. Keep you some water handy because it is your friend in concrete and masa. And I'm thinking if it was like 70 degrees out here, this would probably spread a little better. But since it's not, we're going to go with what we got. Now, I want to start in the middle to the upper end. And it's not got to be real thick. We just want it to be able to bond to that meat. To the meat we go. Layer right down the middle. Make sure you don't scrimp on the meat. I want to make sure that it is well covered, but keep it in the middle. Now comes the roll. Just pull it over here, roll it, keep rolling, bring it to the edge, squeeze it back over here a little so we can get that masa in there. Now we have everybody like we want it. And you can see when you roll it on up here, if you got too much at this end or you think it's going to be here, it's just like toothpaste. Squeeze her on up here to the top a little. You can see now where we're at. Roll it on over here. All right, now you're going to fold this bottom. Fold it right over here. Now I know a lot of people that would tie string around them, just like that, and let them just stand up in that steamer. But when we place ours in there, we're going to lay everybody to where they're helping hold up the backside of the neighbor. So I'm going to continue to make, but now would be a good time for you to take your steamer pot, and if Shannon will follow me on over here. Now, in the previous video that I did on this, you go back and look at it, I made a homemade steamer pot, drilled me some holes in the middle of a plate, put them down in there, but this one's got the plate in it that sets. If we can get it back in there, fill water up right to that level. Now, something that old Mexican lady told me that I think is valuable, important, if I can get them out of my pocket, is 3 pennies. Now, that's not how much I'm selling each tamale for, but we're going to drop them in there. And you're thinking to yourself, what is wrong with the cowboy? Well, when you get this to boiling and you turn it down to where it's just steaming, you can hear them pennies in there just jingling. And when you don't hear them no more, you're out of water and you're about done. So we're going to go ahead and light this, turn it on low for the second till we get the rest of them tamales, because it is sort of a long taking process, Mage, it is. So let me get it on low. So let's do one more to make sure that everybody understands what's going on here, because, hey, it's been a long time since I made them. There's a smoother side and there's a rougher side. Some of them's hard to tell. This is pretty close either way. So we're just going to lay it out here this side, and we're going to put the masa to it. Try to stay up here closer to the top. Use your water if you need it. That's what it's there for. I don't know if there is a preferred thickness. You just don't want it to come off that meat. I'd say you want to be a little over 1/8 of an inch thick. Get us some meat, layer right down the center. And then here we go again, rolling. Tuck it, pull it on over, roll it. Squeeze that masa in there. This one here, I can tell you, this is going to be one that's going to be full. I'm going to pick it out first. Roll your end back up here. There we have it. And if you want to crimp these down here, smash them in there, that's fine. But it's going to make you between 2 and 3 dozen. Got my tamale pot, put my pennies in there. Remember, the water is right below where it's sitting. And I'm going to start on this side. We're going to place these to where they're leaning to the side. And we'll go around the bottom of the pot. We may have to tilt them in just a little more. But you can see, you just put the folded end down there at the bottom. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I can hear little pennies jingling in there. So I know it's a good thing. everybody in there where they need to be. Take you these husks that you have left over, because you're not ever going to have the same amount of tamales you do husk, and just place right over the top. That way we can seal up that steam and that moisture a little better to let it stay down there in the bottom instead of getting up here around the top side of that pot. And we're going to let them go probably 1.5 to 2 hours. Then we'll pull one out of there and see what it looks like. Pennies are jingling as we go. It's like a Christmas song. Jingle bells, making tamales today. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a little tamale sleigh. Hey, hey-ya! Done deal it is. I mean, look at these tamales. When you can pick one up, it don't fall apart, and when you can break it in half and it don't crumble, that is what I call perfection. It is. Now, when you're cooking these, check them about 1.5 hours in. Just take one out of there, let it cool just a minute. See will it unwrap without falling apart. Then I'll let them cool about 15 minutes. Then I'll put them on a plate, and I'll founder up like a dead carp in the sunshine. So I'm just gonna pick this one up.
Do you ever eat yours with ketchup?
Sometimes I do, especially if they're cold. I don't mind them cold. Put a little ketchup on them. We're going to do the sombrero dance. Mage, come here. I'm going to give you some masa. The meat might be a little spicy. Where you at? Get around here. Get around here in the camera. Look up. Thank you so much. I think I really prefer this, the smoked method versus the crock pot method. So good it is. And folks, my daddy always told me, if you're going to do something, take the time and do it right. Sure, it takes a little while to put all this together, but oh my gosh, what a meal you have. Well, we thank y'all so much. We do, me and Shannon the pup, so much for letting us come into your living room, your cell phone, your trucks, everywhere you might be. And we want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. But let's remember what it is about the season that we're celebrating, and that is Christ's birth. So, hey, be sure and grab your neighbors by the hand. Be sure and you tell them you love them. Take them some tamales. They'll say thank you, and it's the best gift you can give. There is burglars in camp, but I'd like to take this opportunity to tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans who have kept that old flag flying over camp no matter where they be. And remember, keep them folks in your prayers, because some are away from their family. Get on in here real quick. I'm gonna give you a ho 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 Santa Claus hug. Ho ho ho. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you down the homemade tamale trail. We gonna put this together slowly, cause some of you can't work fast. That's what that old guy told me that time. I'm gonna write this letter to you slowly because I know you don't read fast.
Okay.
Here we go.